howdy race fans, welcome to my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. And as always, In the Pits is brought to you each week when I feel like it by Monte Carlo Express Delivery. Monte Carlo Express Delivery has been serving the Puget Sound's courier needs for over a decade. Please like us on Facebook. Racing started the day after the last show with the Camping World Trucks Thursday evening at Kentucky Speedway. I recorded it and watched it after I got home from work. It still ended the same way with Matt Crafton in the number 88 Menards Tundra being awarded the win 5 laps early. Why, you ask? Did it rain? No, the grandson of Bill France Jr. tore out a section of catch fence there at Kentucky. Luckily, the stands were empty where he hit the fence, and the stands at Kentucky set back far enough away from the fence and away from the track. No one was hurt. Ben Kennedy's fine, but his number 11 Toyota is in bad need of a rear clip because it punched a fair-sized hole in the fence back there and bent a support pole, and it needs a front clip because it landed on front first, and it also needs a lot of work in between. Stuff was hanging off of the destroyed Tundra, but Ben Kennedy was just fine. I've seen him race before in a K&N race somewhere, I think Montana. Anyway, the fence couldn't be repaired expediently, so the race was called with 5 laps to go. Phenom Eric Jones was second, and Ryan Blaney in a Keselowski Ford F-150 was third, but does not get any points because he is a declared Xfinity driver. His teammate, though, Tyler Reddick, finished 6th, and that keeps him ahead of Phenom Eric Jones in the points. So they are still second and third, and of course with the win, Matt Crafton is still atop the truck points. The next Camping World truck race is Wednesday, this next Wednesday, folks, the 22nd of July at Tony Stewart's dirt track at Eldora. It is a great night of racing that has been won by 2 of my favorites over the past 2 years of its existence there, with Darrell Wallace Jr. winning for the Toad last year in his Toyota, and Austin Dillon winning the inaugural running of the Mud Summer Classic 2 years ago when I had my gallbladder surgery. Such good memories. I made sure that I saw most of the race and set up a tape for the remainder of the race before I had my wife take me to the emergency room. Well, I didn't want to miss the inaugural race there at Eldora. You know, inaugural races only come around once. I had the surgery the next day and was home in time to see NASCAR at the Brickyard. I think I missed some K&N race that week. But anyway, the Mud Summer Classic is a great evening of racing, so be sure to try not to miss it there, unless you have a medical emergency. Because of truck racing on Wednesday night next week, I'll have to get the show done early, so we'll see if it comes out on Tuesday night or not. So on Friday there was a little Sprint Cup practice, and then the rain came. Then an Xfinity race set by practice times from Thursday. That put J.J. Yaley on the pole with Ty Dillon beside him. All of the serious contenders started in the top 10. Bad Brad and the Toad were there to keep the Xfinity drivers from collecting first place points. Phenom Eric Jones was also there because, well, he was there the night before in the truck race. Even Dale Earnhardt Jr., my favorite driver, was there, but he only finished 8th. Most of the race was dominated by the Toad and Bad Brad, with Phenom Eric Jones impressively running up front all evening, including a stint leading near the end of the race, only to be passed by Keselowski for the win. The Toad finished 3rd behind his Padawan there. My favorite Alabama driver, Bubba Wallace, Darrell Wallace Jr., was 7th in his Mustang, and as I said before, Dale Jr. was 8th. Chris Buescher, who's leading the Xfinity points, had problems but finished 11th and still maintains the points lead over Chase Elliott, who's in 2nd, and Ty Dillon, who's in 3rd. Because of their finishes were worse than Buescher's at 13th and 15th, each running a lap down. Good thing I recorded it. Good thing I recorded it while I would work through the first half of the race, because NBC is breaking my heart again by not having Xfinity replays. They could at least put the races on demand after this. After all, this is the Xfinity series, and they're real big on their Xfinity series right now. I would think that whole race replays on Xfinity on demand would be something they could really brag about in their advertisements. Well, hopefully NBC Sports Network will get to regular Xfinity race replays once the Tour de France is over. And heck, most NASCAR fans probably think the Tour de France is Brian showing off his mansion there in Daytona. But anyway, Saturday was the Sprint Cup race at Kentucky, but my wife and I had other plans. Yes, I got my way, and we headed east to Yakima. It was a bit of a bumpy trip there at the beginning, though. Seems like my favorite breakfast place where we were planning to stop there and have breakfast in Issaquah has closed. I do not like my favorite places and things becoming casualties of the times, but that's what happens when you get old, folks. But on to the east, and in Ellensburg, I was able to, while filling up the tank of the SS at the Love's Travel Shop, get this really sweet 1/24th diecast of David Gilliland in the Love's Travel Shop number 38 Ford. Then we headed on to Yakadega. We got there about 3, and in between practices, Mike and Marilyn Easley had provided my wife and I with pit passes, as we were there to help as ever we could. Besides shooting video, I was allowed to do some cool official stuff, like running messages, after all, I am a courier, marking tires at inspection, and helping line up race cars for trophy dashes. I had a lot of fun, and I hope I didn't get in the way too much. Everybody with the West Coast Street Stock Series was really nice to me and my wife, and treated us like their very own. But again, I must give a special thank you to Mike and Marilyn Easley, and to Todd and Sarah Connell. They make the West Coast Street Stock Series happen. All I do is point a camera at the action in the right direction, folks. And I like to point my camera at the West Coast Street Stock Series because it's big-time stock car racing here in the Northwest. Well, I hope everyone has seen the video from the Greg Peterson Memorial. Before I started doing the show, I checked. It's over 100 views. Whoa! The practice in the infield that I shot earlier was in the backstretch was quite a new perspective for me. And even the cars sounded different from back there. More powerful, more present, more prominent than just sitting up in the grandstand, folks. It was a nice experience. And I also had time to hear some great racing stories from a fella who has been there and done that and lived to tell about it. And I respect him very much because of it. Mike Easley has been racing around these parts for most of his life and has experienced a lot of really high highs and some painfully low lows. But he and his wife Marilyn still love this sport. Mike, with all of his racing experience, now serves as the volunteer role of racing spiritual advisor for the West Coast Street Stock Series, a series he used to race in just a few short seasons ago. He metes out fairness amongst the drivers, the best each situation will allow, and mediates disputes with common sense with the common sense of justice of the peace Andy Taylor of Mayberry. And I ain't saying all his decisions are perfect. They're just fair. And all on a volunteer, non-gratis basis. Anyway, one of the fun things the West Coast Street Stocks did, they had a pit stop competition. And it was great seeing the teams that competed doing something they hope they never have to do during a race. And that's change a tire quickly. No team was errorless, but the one that made the least mistakes and pocketing a cool extra $100 was the crew of the number 72 of Brittany Zamora. Good job, Team Z. Whew! Let me get me a quick drink here from a Sterling glass. Anyway, so I was having so much fun with the West Coast Street Stocks, folks. Talking to all the drivers and the crew and doing fun official stuff that I didn't watch any of the other races. They had Hornets and I think mini stocks and bump to pass on the front stretch short course, and the crowd really seemed to enjoy it. Then time came for the Greg Peterson Memorial 100. I scrambled up into the grandstands to shoot the feature, but Mrs. StockCar stayed in the infield to watch from the backstretch with Marilyn. It was a good race, but got kind of messy at times. Probably the worst incident was when Chad Hinkle in his number 55 got together with the 02 of Todd Connell on a restart, and both cars ended up in the blue barrels at the end of turn 4. What happened, guys? Wow, another crowd favorite, Brittany Zamora, was robbed of a good finish with a broken hose, and near the end of the race, the number 92 Zach Washington, the hot rookie of the series with 2 wins, ran over the number 3 Andy Beeman, who won the last West Coast Street Stock race there at Yakima. Washington ran over Beeman in turn 2, making a pass for a position there. Beeman's day had not started well to begin with there. He blew an engine and had to change that before the trophy dashes, but the wrecking by the rookie ended Andy's chances for that evening. And where the number 92, well, you know what happens. He just went on and finished 4th. But I don't know if anyone out there in the field had a chance against the birthday boy in his number 95, Lightning McQueen, looking forward. That one, Buck Knoll Jr. Ka-chow! His top 8 qualifying time allowed him to draw the pole, which worked out for the teacher from Sela, who led every lap on his way to his first West Coast Street Stock victory of the season. His win puts Bucky in a tie with the rookie Zach Washington for the points lead, with Andy Beeman only 20 points back in 3rd. The next appearance for the West Coast Street Stock Series will be again at Yakima on the 29th of August. I know I want to be there. I want to go there again because West Coast Street Stocks is big-time stock car racing, folks. And before we leave the Palm Springs of Washington, it's time for shout-outs to go out. And, of course, Mike and Marilyn top the list. Todd, Sarah, Bucky, Bob, Dan, Donna, Jim, Justin, Michael, Don, Dan, Ben, Bart Jr. and Sr., Zach, Dave, Toby, Rita, Andy, Eric, Casey, Chad, and Chad, thank you for this really nice shirt that you gave me this week. And, of course, Buck, it was very nice to finally meet you. You know, I thought you were, well, you know. And to all the other Yakima racers, race fans, all the folks that work at Yakima Speedway, thank you for making it a fun evening of racing. But the best part was just being in the pits and hearing some of the memories of a Northwest racing legend. Mike told me about his Uncle Sonny that raced some Winston Cup when I was in high school and in the Army in the mid-70s. I looked him up in my encyclopedia of stock car racing. Linwood Lacey Easley, known to all as Sonny, had 19 starts in Cup, mostly out here on the West Coast. His highest finish was 5th in the January 16th, 1977 Winston Western 500 at Riverside. Easley finished behind the winner, behind the winner David Pearson, second place Cale Yarborough, third was the King, Richard Petty, fourth was Dave Marcus. I say that's pretty good company there for Mr. Easley. And for his trouble, he won $6,290 in a Jerry Langford number 67 Ford. Sonny Easley also had 4 Winston Cup top 10s in his career before dying at Riverside in a 1978 crash during a sportsman practice. A mechanic from another team also died in that wreck. Easley also had 9 Winston West victories. That is now what is the K&N Pro West Series, and was runner-up in points in that series for 2 different years. Sonny Easley is a member of the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame, though he was born in Danville, Virginia, home of another racing legend and member of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, Wendell Scott. I had an Uncle Sonny myself, but he didn't race, he played golf. My Uncle Sonny looked like W.C. Fields with a crew cut and a polo shirt. He used to show his golf clubs to my other uncles in the trunk of his Buick, and afterwards he would have really stinky breath, unlike the other folks in our dry Alabama county, if you get my drift there. I asked Uncle Sonny one time, I asked him a golf question. I said, "Hey, Uncle Sonny, what's your handicap?" "Your cousin," was his answer. He told me a golf joke I'll never forget. 2 golfers at the 19th hole one day were down in the few. One said, "Did you hear about Jimmy? He beat his wife to death last night with a 9-iron. To which his friend asked, "How many strokes?" Then the other guy says, "Geez, Charlie, I guess we're going to have to find another fourth. But enough about Sonny uncles. We got home to Seattle after the Saturday night racing very, very late. But there had been no rain in Kentucky, so I had a complete Sprint Cup race to watch at my convenience. While I watched it Sunday afternoon, the other TV I got here was on the IRL race at the Milwaukee Mile. That was won by Sébastien Bourdais of France, and I really don't care about IRL, folks. Their next race is, I don't know where it's at. You know, those IRL cars are ugly anyway. So, let me get me a drink here. Old Sterling glass there. But we're coming down the home stretch, folks. I, already knew the outcome of the Cup race from following on my phone during the Greg Peterson Memorial 100. And, I was not pleased, but I watched the Kentucky Cup race anyway. Dale Jr.'s day really stunk with an ill-handling beast that was having brake issues when he slammed into Danica's rear end and set off a controversy first on pit row with her retaliation, then in social media with everybody pointing fingers. They both need to just shut up and drive. Stuff happens. It's called racing. Oh yeah, and by the way, the Toad won, keeping another driver from being in the chase. But I don't care because I had a lot of fun at Yakima Speedway. The next race is this coming Sunday at Loudon in New Hampshire. Not one of my favorite tracks, folks. That's going to be along with the Saturday Xfinity Series race. There is no F1 racing this weekend, and the next Camping World Truck Series race is the Mud Summer Classic next Wednesday, so be sure to see that. So Saturday evening will be free to attend racing, or maybe not, because Fan Choice TV is broadcasting 5 different races from Langley Speedway in Virginia, from Lake County Speedway in Ohio, from Tucson Speedway in Arizona, from Magic Valley Speedway in Twin Falls, Idaho, and Evergreen Speedway up in Monroe. So maybe I'll just stay home and rest up. But if I do go out to the races, it will be probably Evergreen, because they're having super late models in a 75 lap race on the 3/8 mile track, along with mini stocks, Pro 4 trucks, a series that I really like, and 2 types of figure 8s, while South Sound Speedway is having the big rigs going around their 3/8 mile track, all loud and smoking, along with mini stocks, hobby stocks, and bumblebees. But whether I'm watching stock car racing on the computer or on television or at a local track, you know that is what I will be doing this weekend, because folks, I am Stock Car Scott, and this is In the Pits. Until next time, hopefully Tuesday because of the truck race, thank you all for watching, and one last really big shout out and thank you to Marilyn and Mike Easley. You two are great. And also another special shout out to my buddy Jordan Woodworth, who is helping me with the show tonight. That's why it looks a little bit brighter around here. So until next time, folks, keep watching racing. Take somebody to the races with you. Till next time. That's all, folks.